I made an animatronic of the man in the mask from The Strangers, and here is how I did it. What is going on, guys? Spooky Guy 444 here, coming at you with a video like I have never done before. For the past couple months, I have been teasing something on my Instagram. As you can see here, I've been posting these teasers every now and then, showing that I was working on a custom animatronic project of one of my favorite horror movies of all time. If you're not familiar with the movie The Strangers, it was a movie that came out in 2007 and is one of my favorite movies ever, not just in horror, but in general. If you haven't given it a watch, absolutely watch it. It is a great film. Even the sequel is just as good. That came out in 2018, and there is a new reboot of the series coming out for it next year. So I'm very excited. I thought that with the new series releasing, this would be the perfect time to show you guys what I have been working on for the past couple months to try and perfect it to the best of my ability and get it out to you in a proper fashion. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you in one more time. I give to you all the man in the mask. This has been a custom prop of mine, like I'd said, for the past couple months, and this is the first one that I have done in like 4 years. I haven't really been in the custom prop game for a long time, and I am really happy with how this guy came out. I really think that this is the best work I have ever done, and while he's not going to be used for anything in particular, I just wanted to show my love for this film in the way that I can express it best, and that is through my love of horror and Halloween, particularly Halloween animatronics. Today's video is going to be me going over a step-by-step process of how I made this animatronic from the base to the head. So without further ado, I'm Spooky Guy 444. Leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on The Strangers and this animatronic itself, of course. And let's start looking at how I made the man in the mask from The Strangers. Now, before we actually start the building process of this animatronic, I want to talk about what my main base for this piece was, and that was the Spirit Halloween 2021 animatronic known as Baphomet. Now, I know a lot of people will not have the luxury to use a prop of their own for this piece, and no, I did not harm the Baphomet in any way. He still has all of his original parts, and can be turned back into him at any given time. So, with that in mind, I used him as a base. Now, like I said, if you don't have the parts or the animatronics to use for an animatronic like this, you can always use a very simple replacement, being PVC framing and a deer motor ordered off of a site like Amazon or Fright Props, and it will be just as great looking and just as sustainable. Now, let's get into the setup. So as you can see here, this is simply just the base of Baphomet. There was no changes done to it. It's a very large base, and it works very well since the character in the movie is a relatively tall man. So I wanted to use that as the base of this prop, not only for his animation, but also his height. First custom work I did would actually be the shoes. These are just plain, simple galoshes. You can really do any shoe you want, but for an accuracy purpose, I did want to try and just get the most plain, all black dress shoes I possibly could. However though, originally these were not black. These were originally, I believe, blue or brown. So I just gave them a coat of black spray paint with some help from my stepfather, who has helped me with this prop a lot actually in many ways, and we will be talking about that later. And we were able to get these shoes into the black form that they are now. You can find these anywhere from just laying around your house, old wedding shoes, old prom shoes, homecoming shoes, however old you are, however young you are. You probably have dress shoes that would work perfectly fine for this prop. However, if you don't have them, you could always just take one simple stop to your local thrift stores like Goodwill and order them there for probably less than 20 bucks. These are still Baphomet's original leg poles. However, you might notice that they have completely random pool noodles attached to them, and that is to actually give his pants a little bit more depth, because originally they looked kind of strange, and we will get to that once we get to that part of the setup. But these are still Baphomet's original leg poles, no differences, no changes. So these are just gonna slap on just like so. Just like the shoes, this is another Goodwill purchase, being just a plain pair of dress pants. Now, like I said, you can get these at Goodwill, or you can do what I did, and if your stepfather for some reason, or your biological father, you know, whichever floats your boat, has a random pair of dress pants laying around, take them and use them to your benefit, because these are now the pants for our man in the mask. Now I'm going to move the camera up and just show that these go on just like any other pair of animatronic pants that you would have from your collection. You can't see my head. We're gonna change that in a few seconds. Our next piece here, as you can see, is still from Spirit Halloween's Baphomet as my base. And this is his good old control box and mechanism. And yeah, pretty much his mechanism is used completely. There is nothing that is disconnected. I use his head mech, I use his arm raise, and I use his body turn to give him that animation. And the only modifications that I did were adding this foam layer in the back. And also, this is not actually Baphomet's original hip loop. This is from Waving Wally, because Baphomet's original hip loop is actually too large for the pants, so I knew that I need to get a skinnier and smaller animatronics hip loop to kind of make this work better. And its form is very nice. It's like a nice like eyeball shape, and it worked really well for the pants, and it looks pretty good. So without further ado, we're going to snap on like so. And just like you would set up a regular animatronic, it is just going to snap on just like that. And then this is the most difficult part. I know it sounds crazy, but putting on these pants is horrible. That is because, like I said, these are a smaller pair of pants, and with that added back layer to kind of give his outfit more depth per se, it does make this a lot difficult. Fortunately, these are stretchier pants, so if you were making a prop using like a random pair of jeans, especially male jeans, I could see this being a pretty horrible ordeal. But as you can see, the pants fit up there pretty nicely. It looks pretty good, especially from the front here. Definitely looks like they are nice and wide. Now, this is another one that, like I said, like most of this prop you can actually get from local thrift stores or just stuff laying around the house. But this one I actually had to take a trip to Walmart for. This is a double XL plain white t-shirt, and it is just gonna go over our body frame like so. This is another thing I wanted to do for accuracy, because if you're not familiar with the character, he actually has an open suit jacket, and under that open suit jacket is a plain white tee. And now we're going to put on the suit jacket. As you can see, as I still have the Goodwill tag on it, as you can see, I paid only $8 for this full-on suit jacket that was made in Spain, so it might not actually be a designer jacket, but that's okay, because we're just going to swing it on over like so and get it around that collarbone, kind of giving you this look for now. Now, another thing I did, here is my bootleg Playboy Cardi Whole Lotta Red merch that I got when the album came out from Etsy. We're actually going to use this as stuffing for the clothes. With this design in particular that I did, he unfortunately looks kind of weird with his very skinny arms that Baphomet had. So in order to kind of go against that, I used random clothes that don't fit me anymore around my house and used it as stuffing for the sleeves. The arms are an interesting thing here, because as you can see here, this is what we got going on with the arms here, and you might be confused about a lot of things, so I'm going to answer all your questions. Like I said earlier, the arms are very skinny, especially with the very stocky shoulders of the animatronic of Baphomet that you can't really get rid of. This was kind of my way to oppose that with stuffing the clothes. Now, these extra sleeves here are because the sleeves of the animatronic outfit are actually too short. So I actually got from another pair of random dress pants from my house. I cut them off and attached it to almost look like it's like a second layer of the jacket, and just to make it look like the sleeves have been extended. On top of that, we have unpainted hands, which is very unfortunate, but I do not have the talent to repaint hands because, as you know, if you're familiar with the movie, he doesn't wear gloves. So, and that's very unfortunate because I thought he did, but no, he does not wear gloves in either film. And now, we do have to use the Baphomet hands in their original state, which is unfortunate, but it still passes off his gloves if you're looking a certain way. And both arms are just going to go on the same way. You just kind of slide them up and over like so. And the other arm just goes on the exact same way, just like so. And then we will fix our sleeves also just like so, giving it that illusion that it's a longer sleeve than what it actually shows. We're missing a key ingredient, the head. But before we do that, Our next piece here is going to be a tie. Now, in the movie, as you can see from the picture on screen, his tie is very, very long for some reason. So I had to make sure the tie that I was getting was long enough, and it absolutely is. You can do any tie you want, but like I said, I was trying to get it as accurate as possible, so I tried to get a tie with at least a similar pattern to the one that he has in the first film. And this is just going to go over Baphomet's head connector, and it's just going to sit like that. I think it's a little too long right now, but like I said, it's a very easy fix. Boom sauce. If you want to get it accurate as possible, I recommend eBay or a selling app, but you can always find ties at Goodwill. Goodwill is your friend when it comes to custom stuff, I promise. This is the head of an animatronic, and if you're wondering what animatronic it is, this is the head of my spare Heckles. So, if you guys aren't familiar with some Spirit Halloween lore, Heckles the Clown was recalled not even 2 days after he went live on the website. And then around, I believe it was September, new heads came out to everybody who bought him. Now, I didn't have the worst Heckles head, but I knew once I started working on this custom that I had to do something with the head, because a lot of the ideas that I did originally were such as mannequin heads with screws for the head connectors, zip ties, and other stuff like that just wasn't working. So I took the head of my old deformed Heckles. We used a metal saw to cut off the little connector thing that's right here. That I think is just that I have his head sit a certain way on the prongs. Cut it off, and we used it as the base head of our animatronic, and we're going to attach that right now. Like I said, this is not a luxury that a lot of people have, unfortunately. However, if you do have this luxury of just using spare animatronic parts, definitely try it, because it sits perfectly atop the head like so, as you can see there. Now, it looks pretty weird right now, and that is because we are not done yet, as we have 2 more parts to add to our bag head man in the mask. And here is the mask. Here is the mask of our man in the mask. This one in particular, fun fact, comes from a limited edition box set that has the other 2 masks of the killers from the movies. However, this box set is extremely rare and will cost you a couple $100 resale value. Your best bets right now are custom orders off of eBay and Etsy, and I have seen some of those for sale, and they do look pretty nice. I would say this one is also pretty nice as well. Or the Trick or Treat Studios one, which I do not recommend because it looks horrible. What is that? That's awful. This was actually something that my another stepdad clutched, as you can see, because he just had this because he's a fan of the movie before I was even introduced. And he gave me it as a gift because he don't need it anymore. And now we're using it for our custom baghead animatronic. So we're going to put it on the head. It's not a difficult fit. Fortunately, because of us using the Heckles head, he has a very small head, which works in our favor. We kind of can stuff it up in there a little bit, kind of give it that more like raggedy form that he has in the movies. From that side, it looks kind of funky, I would say. I'll maybe spread that out a little bit. And there we go. We have one final step though, and that is the hatchet. So this hatchet is a foam hatchet that I bought off of eBay. Like I said, relatively cheap, very easy to come by. Or you can just use a real hatchet, that's up to you. I don't know if the gears can handle that though, but all we had to do, as you can see, I did have to modify it a little bit by cutting off some of the corner so that it could actually fit inside of Baphomet's handholds. And even still, after cutting it, it is pretty difficult. But I didn't want to modify it anymore because it's already a pretty tight fit as well. As you can see, we actually have to move the hands in along with our hatchet there to get it the way that we want, and that is going to be just like that. This is not the most flattering angle, so I'm going to get you guys a much better shot of our now completed Man in the Mask custom from The Strangers. And that is going to do it for my first ever custom animatronic showcase, along with instructions on how to make your own Man in the Mask from The Strangers. I am super excited for the new series to be coming out. It has been something I've been long awaiting for quite some time. I mainly did this for my love of the movies and for my love of animatronics, bringing them together to create what is my personal magnum opus of my custom props that I've ever made. On top of that, he's one that is going to stay with me for quite some time. I don't ever see me changing him back to his Baphomet form for a while, because he is going to be a part of a much bigger project of mine that is going to be coming around mid-March. So definitely stay tuned for that, because that is going to be a big deal. I don't want to give away too many surprises, but he will be a part of it. And yeah, I absolutely love this guy. I'm very happy with what I was able to put with him. The only cons I have with him are the lack of actual hands, but you could pass Baphomet's hands off his gloves, and he actually doesn't have a belt. But that is another thing that you can get from anywhere. But overall, absolutely love this guy. Absolutely love this movie. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Spooky Guy 444. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to get back on that weekly upload grind, hopefully. And we will be pushing out great content for you guys as much as possible. This is only the beginning of something special. I'm Spooky Guy 444. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.